I'm Tori, and I just finished reading Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. I listened to the audiobook narrated by Michael Kramer and Kate Redding. So this is the fourth book in the Stormlight Archive series, and I was trying really hard to get it done before book number 5 came out, but I didn't quite make it. I was just a little late, but that's okay, because now I can take a breath and then go into the next one right away. I don't have to wait at all, so I'm excited for that. I am going to start talking about my opinions on this book, so if you have not read it, go get caught up and then come back to hear what I have to say. So this book was very slow at the beginning. The first third to half of the book took me way longer to get through than I thought it would, just because it was so slow. It felt like there was so much buildup, and Kaladin and Shallan, who are fairly central characters, were both annoying me a whole lot. They were both just whining and making bad choices, and I wasn't loving it. But that made up for it by the end, because then the speed picked up and the story got super cool. But I just feel like the first half of the book could have been a couple chapters, and we could have skipped all that misery. So Kaladin did have a nice little arc. I liked seeing him get his armor, but he was not really the star of this book for me. I liked that by the end, Shallan had finally broken away from the Ghost Bloods. I've hated from the beginning of this book, anytime she does something with the Ghost Bloods and Marays, it always, she's so clearly making such bad decisions. So I loved it that she finally stopped doing that, and we had to suffer through everything she did throughout the whole book. But then at the end, she's like, nope, I am absorbing Veil. I don't need her anymore. I won't need any of my other personas soon, and I'm just gonna be my own self, and I'm taking control of my life, and my brothers are safe, and I'm actually making good choices. It was so shocking to find out that she was the one who had killed the Deadeye 10 years ago. And now she's kind of trying to make amends for that, and she's bonding with them, kind of like Maya. I loved everything about Adolin I loved in this book. So Shallan was annoying, but Adolin was so much fun. I loved seeing his bond with Maya. I loved seeing how hard he worked to convince the Honor Sprint to come join them. My favorite part of this book was probably Navani. This was her story. It was so much fun. I loved seeing just the growth she went through and all the things she was able to learn. Once the tower was occupied was really when I started enjoying this book, because it was so cool. I loved seeing her partnership with her enemies, and they had such different goals they wanted, but they also kind of really wanted the same thing, and they were able to bond as scientists and just learn and discover new things. And it kind of was definitely an allegory for the atomic bomb, because of oh, this is really cool stuff that could be super dangerous and will change the way that we fight this war for the rest of eternity. We're going to have these powers now that can cause great harm, and we discovered this, and it's cool that we discovered this thing, but also it could be a very, very dangerous thing that we discovered. I loved seeing all the sibling, and we're learning so much more about the higher Spren and the way they interact with each other and what their powers are. It was cool to learn about how the tower operates, how Fabrials operate, that the best Fabrials don't have Spren that have been captured. They have Spren that willingly chose to be objects. And that's so cool that they have these powers and can do these things. And I just love that. I also loved going with Venli on her journey, because she had made such terrible mistakes, and we all liked her sister better than her, and now she has so much to atone for, and she actually did a really good job of that. She did a good job of acknowledging that what she did was wrong, and now she's on her way to becoming a Radiant. And I love how many Spren there are now who are bonding people who have an alliance with Odium, and now the Singers are trying to find their own place in the world, and it doesn't have to be humans versus Singers, and hopefully they'll be able to eventually get to a world where they can all live together happily. And I feel like Venli made some really good steps toward that, and I loved just seeing her growth and seeing her change. I was shocked by all of the Taravangian stuff, because you see him go through, you see him start to kind of grow a little bit, and less intelligent Taravangian realizes that intelligent Taravangian is not the best person, and he actually manages to make some really good progress and come up with some really good plans and have all this personal development, and then he turns into Odium. And just the fact that Odium can be different people was that I was confused by that for definitely for a minute. But now it's so sad for Taravangian, because he was working so hard to try to actually be a good person, and now he is the villain. And maybe they'll be able to fight that more. Maybe that will give humanity a chance, because Taravangian does have such, like, he's spent his whole life trying to save humanity. So maybe that will give them an edge. But I don't know, I was so shocked. The contest between champions is going to be in 10 days. So does that mean that book 5 is going to take place over the course of 10 days? It's over 60 hours. Does that mean we'll spend 6 hours per each real-time day in this world? I'm so curious to see what happens. It's so intrigued. And the next book, it can't really start slow. If it takes place over 10 days, it can't be as slow as the last 2 books were, right? So I cannot wait to see what happens. And the next book is halfway through the series, but it's also kind of the conclusion-ish, and then there'll be another set later. So we're ready for, like, the finale of what's going to happen, and there will be some resolutions after all this. And I just cannot wait to see what happens next.